My God, I hate drugs.
For the queen of all media, Kris Aquino, and former boyfriend and Quezon City Mayor Herbert Bautista. In an Instagram post, Aquino revealed they recently went out together for a movie date. The photos accompanied quotes on friendship in a slideshow set to the song Stand By Me. In her caption, the actress and TV host said she's proud that they finally become friends after their failed relationship 4 years ago. She shares it took a lot of patience and acceptance for them to mend their relationship. Aquino also says she's Bautista's true friend and that she's 100% sure he is hers. She ends her post by saying she has finally made peace and is ready for the continuation of her life story. Sangguniang Kabataan members are now required to attend a seminar about their duties before they can assume their post. Over 3,000 SK members in the country, or officials in the country, are expected to complete the session today. I visited a group of newly elected SK members while in training, and they say one of their biggest concerns, resisting corruption. Here's that report. It's an activity early on in the full-day seminar. A quick massage for each one. Perhaps it's what they need for what lies ahead. They're the recently elected Sangguniang Kabataan officials from Quezon City. The job is not easy, being exposed to politics tainted with corruption at a young age. Today, they learn about what it means and what it takes to be an SK official. It's Mark's first term.
Medyo sanay na ako marap sa maraming tao kasi youth leader ako sa isang church organization. Pero syempre iba pa rin kasi pag nasa politika, ibang mga tao ay may encounter.
Unlike Mark, Irish is well aware of problems facing SK officials and she's hoping to get some advice. Irish is a returning SK chairman. She first served from 2010 to 2013. The same year SK elections were postponed. After a number of delays, SK elections were held again only this year, which means no SK councils were around for the past 5 years. Among the challenges Irish faced in office, carrying out projects without interference from higher barangay officials.
Kasi po, mga bata pa po kami, wala pa po kami ganong kaalam nung mga panahon po na yon. Kaya po, yung mga mas mataas po sa amin, ginaguide po nila kami. Pero po ngayon, naalam na po namin mga bagong SK, lalo na po kaya po nagtaas ng age para po hindi na po mamanduhan or maano po ng iba. May sarili na pong paninindigan.
Some see the SK system as a breeding ground for corruption because it exposes the youth to the schemes of older and possibly abusive politicians.
The problem happens when barangay officials would intervene with the programs of the SKs. We try to reassure them, especially with the SK reform law, na ngayon guaranteed na yung inyong financial independence.
Kung ano yung tama ay yung gagawin. So sabi nga dun sa sa training kanina, wag kang tumahimik lang kasi pag tumahimik ka ibig sabihin agree ka sa ginagawa nila.
They're the future leaders. The public can only hope they can resist temptation as they grow in the world of politics. This seminar hopefully will help. Fuel prices are on a surge the past few weeks. Will the upward trend continue? We now ask our business analyst, Mike Alimurong. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Ina. Ina, we may not see prices going down soon because of a number of factors. For one, tensions remain in the Middle East among countries such as Syria, Iran, and Israel. And since we import most of our oil requirements from that region, we're affected. Another development is the move of oil producers like the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, and Russia to reduce output to address an oversupply. And by doing so, maintain relatively high oil prices. We have to understand that these countries are better off doing so because they depend on oil revenue to support their national budgets. So they benefit from high demand from countries like the Philippines and from higher prices. Consumer demand for oil is also high because of growth in many countries. Coupled with lower supply from oil producers, as we mentioned earlier, countries are facing lower oil stocks than before. Now, from the Philippines' perspective, our oil needs will remain high as well to support economic growth, as we import most of our fuel. And finally, there's also the impact of high fuel excise taxes from the train law. So when put all together, high demand and the impact of train result in high pump prices that will remain in the foreseeable future. To manage rising costs, we can encourage people to carpool or walk when possible. Ina?
Well, Mike, the peso continues to weaken against the dollar. Should we be alarmed?
Well, no need to panic just yet. Even as the peso has touched a fresh low again today at 52 pesos and 70 centavos to the dollar. For one, the Banco Central just raised interest rates 2 weeks ago to curb inflation, but also to attract foreign investors to the country. When the country becomes more attractive to investors, there will be a greater demand for the peso. Furthermore, the peso's depreciation, however, can be attributed to a few factors. For one, we bring in more goods from abroad than we sell products overseas, which results in a widening of what we term as the Philippines' current account deficit. And with the continued push towards economic growth and infrastructure spending through the Build, Build, Build program, there's an increased demand for imported goods and equipment that require payment in dollars. As a result, imports exceed exports and will continue to do so with growth. Additionally, money sent home by our workers abroad is down year on year the last few months. Remittances help increase our dollar supply and increase demand for the peso. It's possible that recent political tensions, such as with Qatar, may have impacted remittances, but we really won't know for sure. Then there's higher inflation or increasing prices of goods and services, which makes the country less attractive to foreign investors. At this time, investment in the Philippines stock market is still highly dependent on foreign investments. Not surprisingly, many analysts predict the peso to weaken further against the dollar in the coming year. We'll keep you posted on that movement. Back to you, Ina.
Thank you, Mike, for explaining that to us. This is Newsnight, where fuel prices continue to rise and the peso further slides. CNN Philippines business analyst explains if there's reason for concern. Alleged pork scam queen Janet Lim Napoles is removed from the Witness Protection Program. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello says more than 3,300 companies are suspected to be engaged in illegal contracting. Bello submitted the list of companies to President Duterte today. He says these firms were found to be engaged in or suspected to be engaged in labor-only contracting or other illegal contracting or subcontracting schemes that violate an employee's right to security of tenure. The list is based on reports submitted by the department's regional offices. Mr. Duterte last month ordered Bello to name these companies. Secretary Bello tells CNN Philippines the companies on the list are mostly in the manufacturing, retail, and hotel sectors. A telecommunications giant and a leading multinational fast food chain are also included.
Like for example, yung Jollibee, yung Budget, yung PLDT, yung mga hotels like Dusit Tani ba yun? O yung, if I'm not mistaken, Sofitel is also one of the non-compliant hotels. Meron din yung generic pharmacy. Nandiyan din yung Toll Philippines. Toll Philippines is also included. This is just an initial report to the President because he gave us 30 days to submit to him yung mga companies na non-compliant with the labor laws and standards, especially on engaging yung labor-only contractors.
Bello says SM Supermalls is not on the list because the retail giant has submitted a program of regularization. SM promises to make regular some 10,000 workers in the coming years. President Duterte reiterated his promise to go after airing companies when he signed Executive Order 51, which is a reinforcement of Department Order 174 issued by DOLE last year. The department order imposes stricter regulations in labor contracting schemes, although it still allows some forms of contractual work. The companies on the DOLE list have 30 days to comply with the department order or face heavy fines. The Labor Department will also issue an order regularizing the workers of these firms.
We will give them enough time to comply naman. We are also conscious of the challenges of the business. Kaya ang importante is they're willing to comply, and that to us is already a good development on the issue.
Now, one of the companies on the list, telecommunications giant PLDT, in a statement says it received the decision of the Labor Secretary on April 30th. PLDT says it filed a petition for review before the Court of Appeals on May 2. The company says, quote, certain aspects of the decision were inconsistent with applicable law, jurisprudence, and the documentary and testimonial evidence presented to the DOLE Secretary. CNN Philippines is still reaching out to the other companies mentioned by Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello. Senator Grace Poe is supporting calls to suspend excise taxes on fuel as part of the tax reform packages. Poe, who is the committee chair on public services, calls on the Finance Department to evaluate the suspension of the fuel excise tax. She explains this is to cushion its impact on Filipinos. But the Finance Department says otherwise, explaining that it can only suspend the next increase if conditions are met. Calls for the fuel excise tax suspension rose amid the rising oil prices in the international market. We asked you, how are you coping with the rising cost of goods and services? And a lot of netizens are rolling with the punches. Facebook user Pidon Lagrada chooses not to whine but finds ways to cut costs. Some of his tips: take the bus instead of driving, plant vegetables instead of buying them, and don't travel if you don't have to. Lord Kurt Dantes keeps his answer simple. He says, smart spending, healthy living. Additional take-home pay is greater than household expenses. Rolly Nunez sees this as a chance to lose weight, saying, diet, honestly diet. Meantime, Dolene Peterson lists down some advantages to the